Okay, next up let's have a look at number 29 from Ms. Roach's worksheet. And this program asks us to trace out some code. A programmer wrote this piece of code that's intended to display the sum of numbers in a list. In order to test it, the programmer initializes numList to 0, 1, 4, and 5 in a list, and the program displays 10. So let's just quickly check that. 1 plus 4 plus 5, that is 10. Okay, so that works. But we should be a little bit careful here, because this question asks us which of the following is true. Just because the program printed out the right sum for this one list doesn't necessarily mean that the program works as it should in all cases. And to show this, we're going to use another example and we're going to trace out the code. So here's our other example. We'll trace out the code with this list of the numbers 1, 2, and 3. And as always, we'll write out our important variables and keep track of them as we trace. So the first line in this initializes our sum variable. And what does it initialize it to? NumList at index 1. Okay, so that's the first item in our NumList. That's the number 1. That's what sum gets initialized to. And then we enter this for each loop. And if you guys remember, what's a for each loop? It takes an array, a list, and it goes through each item in that list and does some steps. So for each value in NumList, value is going to be our variable for the current item in the list. We're going to do some steps. So we'll start with the first value in NumList. That is this same number, 1. So value is set to 1. And then we're going to set sum to sum plus value. That's 1 plus 1. That's 2. Okay. Next, we'll move from here to here in our NumList, the second position. So value will get the item at position 2. And then we're going to set sum to sum plus value. That's 2 plus 2. Okay, that's 4. And then we're going to do it again. Last item in the list, 3. Forgive my handwriting. And we're going to set this to sum plus value. That's 3 plus 4. That's 7. And now there's no more items in the list, so we're going to exit the loop. And we're going to go to this last step. It says display the sum. And that's 7. Okay, so did this work correctly? 1 plus 2 plus 3, that's 6. We should be displaying 6, and we see we're displaying 7, right? Because if you noticed right at the beginning, what did we do? We counted this first item twice. So what does that mean? What does that mean? The conclusion is correct. The program works as intended. I don't think so, because the program doesn't work as intended in our example case here. The conclusion is incorrect. The program does not display the correct value for the last case, for the test case. Well, that's not right, because it does display the correct value for the test case of 0, 1, 4, and 5. The conclusion is incorrect. Using test case 0, 1, 4, and 5 is not sufficient to conclude the program is correct. Well, that's kind of what we suspected right at the beginning here, because even though it prints out the correct answer for 0, 1, 4, and 5, we've just shown that for some other example, it doesn't print out the correct answer. So C is our choice, and that's how you do that.